Hey guys, what's up? It's Sydney and welcome back to my channel and to another Haunted Objects episode. This week we are going to be talking about the Dybbuk Box. And this is a very famous, very scary story and has actually been more popular now due to its growing fame with the celebrity that had its encounter with it. So with that being said, let's get into the history of the Dybbuk Box. Now, some of you are probably wondering, who are not into the paranormal and don't know about this story, what a Dybbuk is. Dybbuk is a Hebrew word meaning cling or attach, and it is Yiddish for malicious spirit. And basically, this malicious spirit is bound to earth by a person or an object because they have unfinished business that they need to attend to. And unfortunately, this malicious spirit can possess people. It is also considered to be a demon who was mistakenly summoned, then subsequently imprisoned within the box. Now, that is actually an interesting fact that is going to come into play later as far as the spirit being summoned, so keep that in mind. Now, there are actually many different Dybbuk boxes, and some are authentic and the majority are fake. Now, just to give you a brief little history on the Dybbuk box and its backstory is it was owned by a Holocaust survivor named Havila. Havila escaped to Spain, and some reports say that she bought the box in Spain. She then immigrated to the United States, where she had a family, and needless to say that the family was incredibly curious about this box, and in their heritage being Jewish, it actually held a very significant, scary meaning to them. Havila always kept the box hidden away and basically never opened it, and told her family that they should never open it and they should just keep the box hidden away and unopened. In 2003, at the age of 103, Havila passed away, and basically their family had an estate sale and was selling off her belongings. Kevin Manis actually purchased this box from the granddaughter of Havila and basically got a little bit of a back history of the box itself. The granddaughter stated that the Dybbuk demon was actually entrapped within the box and that her grandmother said to never open the box, otherwise it would be released. Manis then realized that this item, this box, this wine cabinet had been in their family possession for a long time, obviously since she was a young woman. So he tried to give the box back to the family, back to the granddaughter, and she became very defensive and said that they did not want it back. A Dybbuk box can be any type of box. In particular, this one was a wine cabinet. Now, Manis was a skeptic and didn't believe in these types of curses or demons in particular, so he opened the box. Now, what he found inside the box he thought to be very strange, but what he did find was 2 pennies from 1920, a golden wine goblet, a candle holder, a dried rosebud, and 2 pieces of hair bound with string, one being blonde, one being brown. Like I said, Manis thought that these items were very odd and peculiar, but he really wasn't affected by this until Manis started having incredibly horrible nightmares. And these nightmares included a demon or his loved ones being turned into a demon in his dream. Another report said that he had nightmares about an old woman, and she was basically next to the Dybbuk box. Not only that, but there were reports of paranormal attacks. I don't really know what that means specifically, like if they were attacked by something flying off the wall and hitting them, or if they were attacked physically. I really don't know what that means, but as far as paranormal attacks go, you can just imagine the extent of what that goes into. Manis ended up giving this antique to his mother for a birthday present on October 28th. His mother the same day had a stroke and luckily did survive, but gave the box right back to him. Manis then tried to give the box to his sister and his sister gave the box back because she said that it was opening by itself and would not stay closed, and it freaked her out. Manus then gave the Dybbuk box to his brother and his brother's wife, and basically they reported smelling very interesting smells. His brother reported smelling like a very seductive jasmine scent, and then the wife basically reported smelling a very pungent, disgusting odor of cat piss. So that was weird. Manus then gave the Dybbuk box to a married couple, and a few days later he actually found the box on his doorstep with a note, not really explaining why they were giving it back, but explaining that they didn't want this particular item in their house. Manus at this point was desperate to get rid of this thing, so he ended up putting it on eBay. And if you research this at all, his eBay post is one of the most famous, I would say, eBay posts of all time, particularly because of the way that it was written. It was written as a warning, and it was written as a plea for help. He did end up selling it, and he ended up selling it to a college student by the name of, oh fuck, I'm gonna fuck this up. Yosef? I don't fucking know. But anyway, he and his roommates apparently were reported very ill, and their hair was falling out, which was a very weird side effect, I guess, of this box. Jason Haxton then bought the box and had it for a while. He was actually very interested in the paranormal and wanted to research more into this. But Jason Haxton actually did grow very ill and sold the box to Zach Baggins of Ghost Adventures. And that is where the box resides now, in his haunted museum in Las Vegas. Which, by the way, you have to sign a waiver over, basically saying that if anything happens to you, they are not liable, and you do have to be 18 as well to go see this object. Now, fortunately for Manus and Haxton, there are weird people like me who are interested in these kinds of things and not necessarily afraid of the consequences due to the increasing mystery behind it, and was able to get this object off of his hands and is probably very happy about it. Now, this is where the celebrity thing comes into play. So, as many of you probably know, Post Malone actually came in contact with this box because he took a tour of the Haunted Museum in Las Vegas, and Zach actually did show him around. And in the videos, if you research it and you look it up on YouTube, it's very, very popular right now. But the videos of Post Malone and Zach in the room with the Dybbuk box uncovered, very dangerous, because usually the box is enclosed with a protective casing, and basically Zach had his hand on the box and Post Malone ended up putting his hand on Zach's shoulder. That was enough basically to have him be affected by the box. Not only that, but Post Malone did report that a black shadowy figure followed them from the museum back to their hotel. So let's just go over the Paranormal Activity again. So, bad dreams and night terrors, people's hair falling out, the smell of cat urine and jasmine in combination in the same room, 2 different people are smelling it, and 2 different scents, lights being burnt out in the house, strange health issues which include hives, vomiting blood, and welts from head to toe. Not only that, but Manus's mother had a stroke the same day that he gave it to her. It's just, there's too much here to not think that this is a real thing. Now let's get into some theories about the Dybbuk box. Obviously, the first one is going to be that the Dybbuk box is a lie. And many people believe this because of the increasing number of Dybbuk boxes that keep popping up on the internet. People are opening them and not being affected by anything whatsoever. Like I said in the beginning of this video, there are a lot of fake Dybbuk boxes and there are a lot of authentic ones. And there can be more than one Dybbuk box. This just so happens to be the most famous because of all the history that it holds. But because there are so many that are fake boxes, they believe that this whole story is basically false or incorrect, which I disagree with, because especially with the Post Malone experience, He basically had, I think it was like 3 or 4 life-threatening incidences after this. And right after this, I might add, one with his plane, one with his car, and a few other things. And to me, it just seems so real and authentic. And the second theory is that basically Havala basically just kept all of her sacred things in here, which is why it was such odd items found in the Dybbuk box, and that's why she didn't want her family to go through it. I don't necessarily believe this, because if you're going to do that, what's the point of making up a whole elaborate story of a Dybbuk demon being encased into this box, and it being so incredibly close and accurate to the legend or the stories of the Dybbuk? It doesn't make sense to me. And the third theory is that Havala was actually a Jewish witch. And if you remember my saying in the beginning, keep that in mind as far as the Dybbuk being enclosed in a box because it was summoned. Part of the story continues. So basically, Havala had a cousin named Sophie, and Sophie basically told the story of her and her cousin, Havala, summoning spirits during the time of World War II, when there was a lot of negative energy and things like that going around. And what she believes is that with the spirit board that they had made, they had actually summoned a malicious spirit, and they were the ones who ended up imprisoning this Dybbuk demon into the wine cabinet box. Which to me would make sense, because everything that was found in the box to me screams witch or altar, because that is exactly the type of thing that you would have at your altar. Would be a candle, something personable like a lock of hair, and a goblet. I mean, come on. To me, I just think that they were young women who made a mistake because they were witches and they didn't know what they were doing, and basically summoned a spirit that they could not contain without containing it in the wine cabinet box. And that is my theory on it personally, because there can be witches of all different religions. There can be many forms of witches in every type of religion and culture. You do not have to be a pagan or a Wiccan to be a witch. So that is my theory, because everything in this box to me screams altar or magical uses, especially with the hair bound with string, because that to me is very ritualistic and very telling. But that's my personal theory on it. The last theory is that this is actually just a true story, that they don't know who encased this demon within the box, but that there is in fact a malicious spirit within this box and has been haunting countless families and people for decades. But regardless of what's true and what's not, I think that this story is incredibly interesting. The cultural history behind it too is what kind of fascinates me, because other cultures and things like that are very interesting to me. So I think the story is very cool, and I definitely wanted to share it with you guys. Please let me know if I missed any information or anything like that about the Dybbuk box. Please go ahead and leave a comment if you know anything about it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell so that way you know when I post a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to give me a follow, you can on Instagram. It's at Sydney's Poisonous. My jewelry shop, where I sell cute little pieces and things like this, is at Perfect Poison Shop. And my YouTube channel on Instagram is at Sydney's Poisonous YouTube. So if you want to go ahead and give those a follow, you can. And I will see you guys next week for the last episode of Season 1 of Haunted Objects. And I'm so excited to do this next episode. I was excited to do this one, but I'm even more excited to do that one, because it's one of my favorite haunted objects ever. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next Wednesday.